are recording now.
Yeah.
So let's define this function. Get JSON. I hope I still have this in the buffer. Yeah. And I'm going to make this a const. And let's make this XHR.
XHR.
Yeah.
It's not
just a name. Just a name.
Okay.
Just a name.
Okay.
And then I have this request listener. And I'm going to open, and so the specification was that I'm going to pass a URL. Yeah? So here in line 19, I'm passing a URL and a method.
Okay, but
So
are you going to change the link in line 4? The link, the HTTP?
Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do that. So we have a method, right? And we have a URL.
Yeah.
Or should it be first?
Oh, yeah. You're right. You're right. So we have a URL and then a method.
And callback?
No, we don't have a callback because we're going to use promises.
Yeah.
That's right.
You either use a callback or use a promise. But promise.
Yeah, but I learned to use them together better because when I put then, I put in then callback.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
What more? Do it.
Because the whole idea of a promise is that you can get rid of callbacks.
Yeah, it's just like to do it rather than using
confusion.
Okay, so let's do it.
Like this, yeah.
So we have this method. So we replace get by method.
Yeah.
And we're going to replace this by URL. Yeah. And now we are stuck with this request listener, right? So that would be normally our callback, right? So if I would have a callback, then probably this would be the callback. Yeah. Yeah. So now let's make this into a promise. So we already said we're going to make a promise, and I already did that. So I'm going to return that promise actually. Return new promise, and the promise gets a function, a call, or it's actually a function, which takes in itself two other functions. Yeah, and I'm going to use ES6 syntax. Yeah, and I'm going to copy all this stuff into that function body. And then instead of using that callback, I'm going to say resolve. Actually, I'm going to do this. So what I'm getting back is a response. Yeah, I'm getting back a response. Yeah, and I want to do something with that response because that response is text. Yeah, and I want to convert it to JSON. I want yeah. So I want to JSON.parse. Yeah, sorry. Response. Yeah. And actually, I want to add another event listener because I also want to listen for errors.
Yeah.
I'm just going to copy this.
So the same,
but the event is error.
Yeah. Error.
Yeah. And then I don't want to resolve this. I want to reject it.
Reject. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here the console code text.
Status. Now, what was it?
Text status.
Text status. Status text.
Status.
Okay.
But you have a line of XHR with response text.
This one?
The response.
Oh, response. Yeah, you're right. Response text. Yeah,
Response text.
you're completely right. Response.
XHR or res?
Oh, yeah, sorry. XHR.response text. Yeah, and I don't need this one because it's just like this, right? Yeah. Now you can see I have to look this up and I don't know it by head because later in the course you will not use these low-level functions anymore. You will use library functions. Yeah.
Here,
Higher
but
order.
you don't have to specify when it's error or not, like to check for the state.
The lines.
The event listener for error is catching any error to
Yeah.
Yeah, line 5.
Yeah,
Error, reject, status text. What's
Yeah.
there?
I understand that, but my question was you don't have to specify when it's error or not. When it's like not 200, then it's an error. Like
Yeah.
to put if statement and check
No,
if it's
you're-
200.
You're right, because if you get, let's say,
DOM error.
an error from the server, it will not invoke the error handler. It will just, you will get, for instance, an error when the server is down. Or let's try that later. So we have, and now we don't need this callback anymore.
No, we don't.
Yeah. So now it returns a promise, and on the promise I can call then. Yeah, so we use that later. So so we have here, we're passing the URL and we're passing the method. So that's fine. So that, I think this function should probably be ready now. So we should look at the next function. So we're getting now a list of repos, and we should construct some HTML for those repos. Now, luckily I printed out what I did at home. So let's look at render list. Shall we look at this one first?
Get HTML.
Okay.
Get HTML repo.
What did I do there? Yeah. So we get a list of repos. So let's call it repos. Yeah. And then we should produce list items. Yeah. And let's use a reduce for that. What did I do here? So we have repos is an array of repos, and actually I need to return
Just
repos.reduce. So we have the what did you say, pref or something?
Previous, correct.
Yeah, sorry. I called it actually HTML because we're producing HTML, right? And then we say a repo because that's what we, yeah. And then we have a function, and then we're producing a string, right? So we start out with a string. And why am I getting here this underline? Because the spell checker. Spell checker. Let me just get rid of that by saying okay, add it to the project dictionary. So, and here as well. So this is not a spelling error. Don't flag about it. And now I'm getting this here green underline because I'm not using it, right? But I'm going to use it.
Oh, okay.
Now here, see? Repo is defined but never used. And that's the ESLint that's warning me. That's why I want to ESLint checking for me. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say return HTML plus some string. And let's see, what did I do here? I want to return a list item And then I want to have an anchor and an href equals, and I'm just, yeah, so we want to have the URL. And what else do we want? The name, I see, oh, the name.
Isn't your repos.url?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Because I did something, I'm going to change this in a minute, but let's do it for now like repo. Because I want to learn you a new ES6 trick. Repo name. And what else? Then we need to close off the anchor. And we need to close off the list item.
No, it's
No, it's not
syntax.
Okay. Like this, right?
Yeah, but you have
No.
another one.
the
So. List item.
you didn't
No,
close the
I
R.
have forward slash between close tag A and close tag
You don't need actually.
Sorry.
Close the I.
So,
You don't need
href.
to close it.
This one.
The R, the last one.
The close tag A, you put
You
slash
need to
forward.
close it.
I want, yeah, I have the name here.
It's correct.
I have the
Yeah,
name.
after-
Here.
Yeah, but after closing A, you have this slash.
Oh, sorry, yeah. That would just print a slash. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to, you see, I actually don't need this one here. If I just return the statement immediately, like this. Yeah. And what I also could do is I could make this an ES6 function. Oh, sorry. I'm going const. Like this, repos. Sorry. Like this. Still the same, right? Still a function, just ES6 syntax. And now, because this is ES6 syntax, I can also remove this one. Yeah?
And remove the return.
And remove the return, of course. And then I always press Shift Alt F. Repos. Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. And now I'm going to do another trick. I'm going to use what they call object destructuring. Yeah. I know I get a repo here as an argument, but I can say from that repo I want URL and name.
Okay.
And now I can remove the repo. That's yeah.
It looks much cleaner now.
Okay.
Take photo with it.
With Jim on this.
No, really.
Okay.
Wow.
Functioning.
Let's do something similar with the HTML member list. So there we get back members. So the member list, let's just go back to the URL here, and let's just see what the output looks like. Yeah, and I know I need to replace this. Oh, this is something completely different. Sorry, this one. And I need to replace this by Hack Your Future, right? Otherwise it won't work. Your future. Your future. So I get back again an array with members. So I get an array back. So let's check that. So I get an array of members. Members. Like this. Okay, so I'm going to again reduce. Let's first do it the old way. And then say I'm going to return the members. Members.reduce. And then we have, again, I'm going to produce HTML. So let's call it HTML. And then I have this function which has no, sorry, like this, right?
Yeah.
HTML and a member. Yeah, and then some function body and string, because we're going to produce a string, right? And then I need to do something in here which says a return HTML plus some string that I'm going to construct here. And that was, I'm going to look in my list. So we're going to produce a list item. And then I'm going to make it a header 2. Yeah, so it's a header 2. And then I'm going to print the login name. It's called login. Yeah, and you can check in the over here. So login, what would login is, see the name, login name. Yeah, and then
Member.login.
Yeah, he will change
You
it.
will change it, one before.
oh yeah, sure. Member. I'm looking at my paper that already has the end result.
Yeah.
So member login, and then I want to have an image. An image, and then the source of that image is the member.avatar. Sorry, no, avatar URL.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm going to give it a width of 230 pixels.
Okay, in line.
200
Uh,
would be too big.
it's okay. It's okay. And then I'm going to close off that list item.
Specification.
And you need quotes after src equal.
SRC equal, I need to have a quote, right?
Yeah.
Like this?
Like this or the other one.
No,
It should work. It work.
Yeah.
this looks sort of right, I think.
And we can't put break between
Or you can use.
Well, you could, but an H2 is a block element, so you don't need a break.
Oh, okay.
It says, yeah.
But if you need to write in a new line, can you use /n?
No, not in, because here it's in
you
HTML.
can, but you can. Yeah. But I mean, that's only for visual. It doesn't mean anything in the HTML.
Yeah.
So let's just leave it out. So we're going to do the same trick again.
Yeah.
So we make this a const, and if you know ES6 syntax, you'll do it straight away. But I'm just demonstrating it just now, right? So get member list equals a function that has a members argument. Yeah, and that is going to return this members reduce, and this one is also going to return the HTML like this, and put it on a new line. And then we don't need this bracket here, we don't need this one. And then I'm going to say, oh, I only need the login name here, login and avatar URL. So I'm grabbing these two properties from the object. I'm not interested in the other stuff. I just need these two.
In this
So it's
case,
better
in this
for the
case,
time of for the process of the server. If we wrote it like this, it's better than to have.
No. It's just convenient shorthand. For execution, it doesn't really matter.
Can we modify the repo get HTML repo list, the return value? I sent you a line of code in your Slack channel. Can you copy it because there is mistake here. There is missing double quotes, and also we can add the HTML with the same way of $sign and.
So
Because
There is missing the
Yeah.
quotes.
Axe reference here
And-
for
and
line
line
13.
line 13, and let's see, line 13.
Double quotes after
href.
href. Double
Yeah,
quotes.
when you finish.
After the
yeah.
URL, you should add the closing double quotes. The href.
Ah, okay.
Not here, not
After
here.
the URL
After,
immediately.
Yes, you're right. Well, we're going to execute this. If it doesn't work, then we'll find out.
Yeah. But I have a question. Like by using the object, so the function now expects always an object with the two these for example URL and name.
Mm-hmm.
Does it return an error by using this? So if it didn't receive an object, it will return an error that I am expecting an object here. Does that help with error?
You want to use it for error checking?
Error checking?
If you don't supply an object, then let's see. I'm not sure if you get an error or just undefined for these two, but we can try. We can try later. So this is the now we need to do. So let's see. We did. Yeah. So now we need to do this render list. Now I don't myself would use bind like it's being done here. I'm going to use it in a different way. So I'm going to say I'm going to create a function. Like this, and I'm going to say I'm going to return a function. I'm going to take here a render list, and then which has a dollar element. Yeah. And then I'm going to return a function that takes HTML. Let me see, what did I do? Or actually, it's called parent, I think. I called it parent. Let's see. Hold on. Render list. Oh no. It was a selector. Sorry, it was a selector, right? Yeah. And so I'm going to say here const $parent equals document query selector, indeed, query selector, there we are. And I'm going to pass this selector. So I have this, and then I need to set the inner HTML, I think. Set in inner HTML. Inner HTML with capitals. And then I'm going to use the HTML. Is this still?
Yeah, I mean, we wrote the same exact code, I and Alex,
Yeah.
and we tried it, but we every time we get HTML is null. We don't know why. We try every possible way with inner HTML, lowercase and uppercase and everything. You did, but for us it didn't work. We don't know why.
Okay.
Every time we get HTML is null.
Let's do this one. I'm going to change this function a bit. I'm going to say I'm going to use ES6 syntax. I don't need this bind. I just need to do member list.
Should you use?
So what's happening here? So member list is this selector. Yeah. So I'm calling render list with the selector, and it's returning me a function that expects a string.
Yeah, here I got confused.
Okay.
How the member list was populated in the first place? It should be populated by get HTML repo list. So by using then, it should return directly to the other function.
Yeah. So get HTML member list.
Yeah, what I understand that then get HTML repo list, it returns directly to the next then, it returns something.
Let me do it like this. Let's see.
So basically we should only then render list.
Now, sorry. Yeah. So I'm going to use it like this. Oh, actually, I can. No, I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to do it like this. And then I'm going to change it back. So I'm going to do it like this, and I'm going to say this returns HTML. Yeah, and I'm now going to call render list, which expects a selector. In this case, it would expect $member list, and then I'm going to pass the HTML. And otherwise, I'm going to call render list with the same selector, and I'm going to pass this string as the HTML. And I need to do the same thing over here. So I get HTML back from an HTML string, and I'm going to use the repo list and the HTML that I get back. And here I get this error. Or actually, I get the status text, right? We called it, I think, status text. I'm not using the status text. Let's not use this. Oh, too much deleted. Okay. Why? Oh, endpoint. See, the spell checker helps me because I made a typo there. Point. Or perhaps Mauro made a typo there. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Okay, and it says,
Yeah, the typo is...
oh, because a typo is also here. Okay. Now, is this all abracadabra, or can you guys follow what I'm doing here?
We can follow what you're doing, but the first dot then, I don't know where it will get the parameter.
This then here, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It gets the return of the first.
Can we make like from the beginning, step by step, but without writing? It's clear, as it's just like debugger.
But I'm going to. So what I get here back is some JSON, right? I'm from the get JSON. I get back JSON. So let's do it like this: JSON.
And one of the execution here.
not get JSON, sorry, JSON.
For the execution, the JSON variable will be the return value of the get.json.
Yeah, because if I say resolve here, what I specify in resolve here is what I get back in the then callback as the value. So the promise resolves to this JSON or this object actually.
Yeah.
Because JSON.parse delivers an object, creates an object. So what you get in, let's put it like, so if I say resolve something, then if I say then, and then I get this XXX as a value. So what you pass in resolve
Then
is
the return from result.
It's the argument for the then.
So
Yeah.
basically, resolve has an embedded return. You can say it returns.
yeah. So it's like a sort of a black hole. You put in whatever you pass to resolve comes out somewhere in the then. Yeah.
But if I don't have resolve plug for the next function, I don't have resolve, but I have return statement. I get HTML repo list. I don't have resolve function. I have return statement.
If you don't call resolve, then you get nothing in then. Then the promise, you need resolve to resolve the promise.
Yeah, we did this for the first part, like get.json. When I returned a promise, I called resolve inside the promise body, right? But after that, we use extra.then for get HTML repo list,
Which is not a promise.
which is not a promise and which is not
It still has a value.
still have .then.
Oh right, yeah. You can do this. You can do this. I think I know what you mean. So let's resolve just the response text. And let's now put here a then. Yeah, and then we say response, which is or text or whatever, and then we do a JSON.parse. Parse. Is that what you mean?
I think I understood.
So
I
now
understand
first
what you do now because it's the same as what we did in the execution downside. But what I meant is in the get.json function, we have in the body of the promise resolve calling for resolve function.
Mm-hmm.
But in the other then in get HTML repo list, we don't have resolve function and we use the same structure. Can we go down
Yeah.
to mark what I meant?
Yeah.
The 34.
34.
34. Yeah.
Yeah. Get HTML repo list JSON. And this JSON as a parameter, from where I will get it? From the
JSON is correct. We got it from the first function.
From
Yeah.
the first function.
Yeah, but the next one.
But the next JSON, the HTML,
The HTML.
For
Yeah.
example,
I don't
render
know
list. How
where I can pass this as a return or a resolve function with parameter.
So when you every then returns a new promise. So what you return from then becomes a promise for the next then.
Okay, that's what we
Yeah.
asked.
So every then a return is a promise, a new promise
Yeah. And whatever you return
in this function.
in the then becomes the resolved value for the next promise.
Okay, so every function concatenated with a then on that then should have a return, an actual like return
Yeah.
value.
And if you don't return anything, then the resolved value is undefined.
So if
Yeah.
I understand it right, can I change line on the upper side? Can you scroll up?
Yeah.
Can I just neglect resolve xhr.response and I return it? Return xhr.response.
Return Sorry, where?
Line number 4, without instead of calling resolve function, I want to return xhr.response text.
Yeah,
No.
but I mean,
Then you will have
Not
to change
the
the promise structure because if you
Will
use
not be
promise,
promise.
you have to use resolve and regime
yeah.
or regime. You can't just use resolve,
But
but you
the
have to use.
following promises from .zen, we didn't do resolve, and it worked.
Yeah, but because it's
Because
you
then
take
stake
took
the-
already the return from the first promise, you know? It's the structure, it's building like with
But
promise.
James just said like the return on the function, it means like this is the result for the next.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
This is the
when you
result for
yeah,
the
next.
it's a
Yeah,
promise.
you have
It's a
used it the
promise.
first time, here, the first
Yeah.
time result, and then when you use then the return of that keyword then will become a result for the keyword then.
The next
Next.
Let's just first check whether this works, right?
Yeah.
To see, I mean, perhaps I made a mistake. So I'm going to reveal this in the Finder, and then I can just double click the name. So what does it do? Doesn't do much, right?
Console.
Okay, there is a parent.innerHTML is not a function. So
No.
let's.
It should equal HTML.
Okay. So we made an error. Parent.h. It's I should.
No, it should be
Equal, right.
and
Okay.
this string maybe.
No.
Yeah, but it is a string. So run. So
Already
let's.
coming from reduce.
So let's try it again.
Okay.
No pictures. Oh yeah, there are pictures.
With this photo, you can.
Yeah.
It's just like my feeling.
Okay. So let's.
But why here we don't use parent?
We don't use.
We don't
Sorry.
use bind.
Hold on. We don't use bind.
Yeah, we were using it, but you
Yeah.
delete it now and you
Okay.
continue without it.
So
If you want to use bind, what is the right implementation for it?
okay. So let me first modify the render list function a bit. I'm going to do it as I originally planned, and I'm going to pass the selector. Yeah, and then I'm going to return a function. And that gets HTML as a parameter. And then I need an extra closing parenthesis here. So now what I can now do is do something like this. And then seems a bit funny perhaps, but it will become clear in a minute, or perhaps 2 minutes. Okay. So render list now returns a function. See, and that function takes another parameter. Yeah. So here I'm calling that function, which returns a new function, and I'm passing HTML to this. So it's an anonymous function here. So basically, I'm creating here a what's called a closure. Closure, right?
Yeah.
So let's see if it still works.
Yeah.
I think it should, hopefully. Yeah. Oh, I'm missing something. See, because I only have pictures now. So what did I do wrong?
You changed for the repo list.
You're missing the break.
Oh, right. Yes.
Also, line above, line 30.
Oh, yeah. I see that. Oh,
Just parentheses before it. Yeah.
It's right.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah.
No, here. Because catch error.
Yeah.
And the key is received
Yeah.
from repo list.
And also.
Repo list. Yeah. So, is it in working order again?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. You have pictures? Yes. Now, you see, I have here a function that takes JSON, and that calls a function that takes JSON.
So we don't need that.
So I don't actually need this because this function. So I know that I get in this then JSON, and this function takes JSON.
So
Okay.
might I ask, does this at this point the function get HTML repo list? Is the
No,
this of the repo list?
Can you hold on to that? Because this already causes confusion.
Yeah, if I know that it accepts one parameter, why I neglect this parameter?
You see, this parameter, this function takes JSON as a parameter, and it calls a function which also takes JSON as a parameter. So why not call that function directly?
So we call it the function directly, but with JSON, with some value.
Yeah. So
But
this
we have
this
already
this
the
function
return from this function.
this function expects.
Only one
JSON.
parameter, so the
Yeah.
return of the
It's JSON.
promise.
No, this
From
is
the
return
JSON,
from this function is JSON file.
So it's
It's
an
JSON.
Yeah.
So
It's already JSON.
So this function here, this function takes a JSON string, or actually an object. It's an object. Yeah.
It's an object.
And return.
Let's call this object because it's not JSON anymore. It's an object now. Let's
Yeah.
just make a better name. And
and this
yeah,
object
and this object.
is the actual return of the promise.
Yeah.
So I don't need to write the parameter because I will get it already
Yeah.
from the
You
previous
have
one.
it.
Here, this function. Yeah. This function takes
Taking the object and
takes an
making it
object
string.
and returns a string.
To the next one.
Yeah. And
No, this function. Do it.
so these two, there are two functions here. This one takes an object and returns a string. And this function here also takes an object and returns a string. It's actually, so why not call this function directly? So this function, it's just a matter of reducing the code.
Or make it a bit confusing.
No.
Is it confusing?
No.
No, if you understand it, but if you just read it like that,
Yeah.
for us, we don't understand why we write it like that in the
Yeah.
first place.
So that's why
Yeah.
so, and the same over here.
Yeah, so just delete
Yeah.
the last one.
Mm.
It will be already done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also
And
that's
we can do the same over here.
But if
Can I see
if
just
I
the
expect
regular repo list?
What do you want to see?
Just the definition. It only takes a selector. Then the HTML is
then if the return function takes one parameter HTML.
Okay, let's do another trick here.
The
How did we
tricks
call
day,
it?
The tricks day today.
Well, it's not a trick really. Wait a minute. This
No, it's okay.
Yeah?
It's okay.
That's okay. Okay. Okay.
Continue.
Okay.
now since we are here,
Okay. If you want to know.
then I use only the name of the function, no need to pass through a
sorry.
parameter anymore because it takes it directly from the return of the previous function. What I want to know, if I have a function with two parameters, can I pass it to the then and only like what we did with the bind, pass a null and then, or not pass a null actually. I needed to take one parameter from the previous function and add another parameter.
You just add another parameter.
How does it know actually? Always the first parameter should be from the previous function. Let's say here, like if
So,
member list, render list.
this
has
function
another
here,
parameter for example.
render list, if I call it with just render list with this parameter, it returns a function.
Yeah.
It returns this function. So this function expects an HTML parameter or a text parameter. So when this then is executed, it calls this function and it passes the output from the previous function, right? Because, yeah, and that is a text string. That's an HTML text string. So the function that is called here is this internal function, and that gets the HTML that I'm passing from the previous then.
It is within the scope of the, like HTML now is defined. Yeah, because it's passed through from
Yeah,
the
because
then,
remember
the
we changed it from this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We changed it from this.
This is I understand.
Yeah.
But let's say get HTML member list, which doesn't have an inner function, only takes it takes 2 parameters.
Yeah.
Let's say, and I know that then the previous then passes
Give me
only one parameter.
One of them.
How can I use it like only to pass one parameter and the previous and the other parameter will come directly from the previous list?
You can simulate that, but returning a function in render list.
I'm not sure if I understand the question.
I will simulate what he said.
Yeah.
In render list, we can return function takes 2 arguments, not only 1.
Yeah, we had that previously, right? You had it like this.
Select another HTML.
Yeah, and then
I want to return a function takes 2 arguments, not only a
yeah, but why would you do that?
Okay, this is good. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Let's just get rid of the inner function, for example, and
Yeah.
pass the member list. Does it work like that?
We had that. Oh, okay.
This is what I want to know.
Okay, so we have now here render list
With just one.
with
Just
one.
one more parameter.
So HTML will be undefined.
Undefined. That's
Cool. Yeah.
undefined. And how to fix this? To use blind?
So render list doesn't actually, this does not return a function. It just returns nothing. It returns undefined. If I call render list like this, see, I'm not returning anything from render list. So it returns undefined. So this then sees undefined, so it will not execute anything. I might as well say this. Yeah.
How to fix the current solution? Like to call render list with 2 parameters? Or to bind?
Now we had that already. We did it like this. We said, so it returns HTML, right? And then we said, call this function render list with the dollar, what was it? Dollar repo list, I think. Dollar repo list, comma, HTML. That's how we had it originally.
great. This is the only solution for this.
Yeah. So let's do it in this one, the old-fashioned way, and in the second case,
And,
the new way. Then you have,
So we have
yeah. So let's.
Element.
Sorry, HTML. Okay, and then so let's do it here as well. So here we have this object. Yeah, and then here we said we pass the object, right? And I'm going to make a new function here, which is a const render list. I'm going to copy this function. And in the second case, we're going to use the other way, render list 2, and then we're going to return a function, which takes HTML, and then we need an extra brace here, and we don't need this one. Oh,
Not this one.
So you take it as a function.
feature. No.
let's do it like this. Yeah?
Okay.
E6 syntax. So we're going to use render list 2 here. and we're just going to pass this selector. And here we're going to leave it like it is. So we've done it now in two ways. One is, let's say, the extensive way, and the other one is using the shortcut way, where we only pass in the selector, and it returns a function which takes the HTML. Well, let's make sure that it still works. Yeah. And now let's do some more. Let's make this render list function 2 a bit simpler, because I can already remove this, remove this, remove this and this and this and this, and then remove this. No, I can't remove that. No. Now this seems a bit, if you read it like this, it seems a bit confusing with all these arrows, right? But the only thing you're really interested in is this last bit. So the function body plus the last parameter. And all the other stuff that comes before, because you could even have more arrows in here. It's just things that you can call a function like this, like function, or let's say render list. If I call it like this, XX, it returns me a function. If I return it like this, YY, it returns, well, it actually executes the state, it executes the inner function. Yeah.
It looks more like CSS.
Yeah.
Is this a closure to return a function?
So this, if I call it with one argument, it returns basically a closure, because it keeps selector internally. It knows already about selector. That's why I call it here. It already knows about this selector, and then it returns a function which just takes HTML. So let's make sure this still runs, and then I'm probably done with the trickery. Still runs. So, no, there's one more thing I want to show. And that is, we are constructing our promise ourselves here, but usually when you use libraries, you get functions that already return promises for you. So, for instance, there is a newer function in the browser that you can use to get data, and it's called fetch. Yeah. Let me see. So I'm going to create a function called const fetch JSON. Fetch JSON, and it takes a URL and it returns fetch. So this fetch is a browser function which takes a URL, and then let's see, it returns a promise, so I can use that because I know it gives me a response which I can convert to JSON. Like this. So I can now use here fetch JSON. I don't need this method because it's already a get.
You should
Fetch JSON. No. Fetch JSON. So fetch JSON is this one. Yeah. So it takes a URL, it fetches data from the URL, gets a response. I'm not dealing with, well, actually if there's an error, it will produce an error. And then I'm converting the response to JSON. No, I'm converting the JSON response to an object. Okay. Let's see if it still works. I think it is. So I could comment this one out.
No.
and just use the fetch here.
Stop the video.
انا حفظت كل الاجاكس كود كلها.
I think if you leave Jim for maybe a couple of hours, when you go back home, he's going to refactor this again. I swear,
Okay.
once we worked on something similar to this, I said, like, we've done 3 refactoring while we were sitting. And then by the time I went to my home, I said, and by the way, I've done 2 more refactoring.
So I have this solution on my GitHub account, which was a private repository. I can make it public and share it on Slack.
Okay.
How do I do that? Settings.
تقبل قاعد يعني.
I think Bob.
It's private. How do you make it?
I think you need just to give us permission, not
No.
to make
Sorry?
it public.
What?
Yeah, here. No, you should have with
Hold on. Let's. How do I change it?
Edit.
Oh, edit. No.
This is
Oh,
only
no. It's not for the edit.
So
Can you share it?
It should
Yeah,
settings.
I want to make it public.
It should be settings.
I think it was settings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Merge. GitHub. And non-source. Make public. And then it needs to know my passwords. Oh no, I need to know the. So what was it
the
called?
name of the repository.
Render GitHub.
render GitHub.
Render GitHub.
Did you discuss how
No,
did it go
GitHub.
last week? Like,
Sorry?
did you do like a 2 minutes
Demi, you should
stand up on how did it go, the collaboration, and the team leader?
Ah.
No, you didn't.
Alex, team leader.
I know.
We
So,
Render GitHub.
so
Render.
Alex,
Yeah. Sorry, hit club.
Yeah.
GitHub. Okay, make this. And then it needs to know
by the
my
time he's putting his
password.
password, I just wanted to discuss how did it go last week. We've been discussing with Alex like who would nominate and become the team leader for next week. So you've got actually a couple of options, but I think you can just nominate whoever you want to give the flag to.
He will hate me and the other guys will hate me.
Alex,
Was it
we
Rami
already
or
did this.
Naima?
No.
Or
No, this week I cannot.
so I need.
Okay.
I promise after
Sorry,
2 weeks,
someone
I
should
will
do
be-
it.
I
Yeah,
will
someone.
be-
Do you want me to do
Everyone
it?
I will choose, he will hate me. And the other will think that I love him more, so they will hate me.
Stay.
Okay.
Full of hate.
You will stay.
So I'll make it easier. Put the 3 names that you have, mix them, and let